Hello everybody, good day to you guys, and I just want to show you how I prepare my tune in for master content with regards to stats and percentage. Because of the last big update with regard to stats. Power, combat advantage, and severity. Critical severity should be at 120. Critical strike is at 90, and accuracy is a dumb stat, so we can just make it as high as possible when we can. And the reason I'm making this video is a lot of people are asking, or a lot of people are saying that they can't cap their stats because they don't have maxed out enchantments or maxed out insignias. And I just want to show you that you don't need everything at mythic or celestial to max out your stats. It is highly possible to do it at a lower item level. I'm currently at 78k right now, 78,122, and I have gear that are readily available to be obtained on previous dungeons and trials. All of my artifacts are readily available in the tradehouse, so it's very easy to get them as long as you make the effort to grind for AD and trade and stuff. And well, obviously we have to use buffs when we cap our stats. It's almost impossible nowadays to not rely on any food and consumable buffs. Anyway, so the way I do things is I go to the trading room and test my stats out on the dummy boss. I obviously take consumables. Let's see if they're still on. Hold on, we need 4 of them. So the 4 consumables I'm using are squash soup, a flask of potency. Doesn't matter much if it's like the +1 or the plus or rank 1 or the rank 3. It just differs in the ratings that they give you. They both give 5% critical severity, which is what we want, what we primarily want them for anyway. The other one is a Sun Lord's gift elixir, which gives 2000 ratings to accuracy and 5% to combat advantage. Last one is a prime rib, which gives 4000 additional power as well as 20k on maximum hit points, which is at around endgame level. It's gonna be very important. I'm also using the forger box. Nowadays this is very easy to get. It gives you 3% power plus a random stat. If you can see the list on the screen. What you wanted most before is the power. The additional stat is basically just a bonus. You don't have to rely on them to cap. Don't mind the chicken, by the way. It's there for mitigation purposes. For those who know, then you know. So let's wait for all our stacks to proc. Right now, I'm using one helm and the weapon set that relies on time to fully proc. For my helm, it gives 10 stacks every 5 seconds. So I would need to wait around 50 seconds to have 10 stacks. And for the weapons, which is obtained from Master Demonweb pits, it's fairly easy to complete now. If you're gonna farm for this set, I highly recommend. It's still one of the best weapons in the game, if not the best. Aside from giving a 10% total useful stats to a DPS, it also gives a 3% increase in your base damage boost. So wait for them to stack. It's 10. If you see there, combatant's advantage is at 10 stacks. That's from the helm. Watcher's charge is 5 stacks. That's from the weapons. We have 1 minute. Let's be fast then. So just try to do your normal rotation on this boss. And see the stats. If we see there, we had around 90% on power and 70 on accuracy, 106 on the combat advantage. I believe 120 on crit strike, and that's accurate save. Let's see where the crit strike I think is around 90 or 85. Yeah, should be enough. So the reason I'm saying that you don't need all mythic stuff is in order for you to capture stats, you have to focus on the things that would matter the most when it comes to percentages. In this game, that will be the gear, and that will be the gear that you have, and companion bonuses that you have, as well as the group buffs that you are gonna be benefiting from when you're in a full group. So let's take a look at our base stats. This is our base stats out of combat, but fully buffed with consumables. Let's start with power. So our power currently is at 82.6%, and in a full group, and nowadays a common practice for most players is to be in a raptor group, you will obtain a total of 18% from the other 4 people in your group if they're all using raptors. That's because each person that has a raptor equipped buffs everybody else with 4.5% power. So 4.5% multiplied by 4, because it doesn't include you. If you equip the raptor is automatically buffing you whether you're in a group or not. So you only have to account for the other 4. So 4.5% per raptor. If you want to be sure about it, it's right here. 4.5% power multiplied by 4 is 18%. And another source of power that we are getting from is the gloves that we have. This is easy. This is not what I would say easily available, but this can be obtained in advanced moondancer. It gives you a total of 8,000 power ratings, or a total of 8%, if you are not capped on power. By not capped on power, I mean you are not reaching the green point, and our green point right now is 10,000 over our item level. So that would be 88,122, and from 78,181 we add 8,000 more. It's only gonna be 86,181. So we are not reaching the cap. So we are getting the full benefit from that 8%. Another source of power that you're gonna get is from commonly in a 5-man group is a portobello. Is almost like 95% of the time that I've been in master dungeons, there's almost always a portobello around. So that gives 3.5%. To be sure, let's check what portobello's abilities and powers. So D&D in session, when you have a team of 5 players, this causes your team to gain 3.5% power and combat advantage. Right now, we're not getting any benefit from it because we are not in a 5-man group. But when you are, it's going to give you 3.5%. And another source of power that you're going to get. By the way, we're just going to talk about 5-man groups for now because we need to accommodate the most common bonuses that you're going to get in a 5-man group. And it is more than likely when you run 5-man dungeons that either the healer or the tank is gonna have something called runic aura or mystic aura on. Regardless of what they equip, both of those mount equip bonus gives 2250 to power. So that's an additional 2.2. In this case, we will not be benefiting from the 2.2 because if we add the gloves here, previously we added the gloves previously, which is 8,000 ratings, we would receive 86k, 86,181, and runic aura gives 2,250. So we will not be benefiting from the entire 2,250. So just to be conservative, I don't want to be nitpicky about it. Let's just say we're benefiting from the runic aura at around 1.8%. So we add 1.8% more. And last but not the least, the last source for power in a 5-man group, as if you've been playing this game for quite a while, it's more than likely you have some of the master boons up already. And one of the master boons is when you get healed in combat, or when you get healed for 10% of your maximum hit points, you have a 10% chance to raise your power up by 2% per rank. So if you have this at rank 3, it's 6% of your power, or 6% additional power. So all in taking all those into account, and we add that to our power right now, which is sitting at around 82.6%. So if you can add it with me, if you have your phone right now, you can type in the calculator 82.6%, which is your base power. You add 18% for the raptor, and you add 8% for the gloves, 3.5% for Portobello, 1.8% for runic or mystic aura, and 6% for the master boon. That will give you a total of 37.3%, and that is on the conservative side already. And if you add 37.3 to our current power, which is 82.6, that will give you a total of 119.9%, which is already very, very good. It's basically cap already. So that takes care of power with regards to that stat. Now let's take a look at the second, or almost as important, DPS stat, which is combat advantage. Right now it is sitting at 82.3%, and what we need to do is take into account the gear or other bonuses, the gear bonuses and other bonuses that we will be benefiting, that will increase the percentage from our side. Let's account for other things like the Portobello or Flapjack or Shooter later. So right now the things that will give us extra combat advantage percentage in combat is gonna be the helm, which is gonna be 10%, and it's gonna be the boots. It's another 5%, and it will be another 9% from the enhancement bonus. So let's do again what we did for power. Let's take the gear bonus first. The helm will give us 10%. The boots will give us 5%. And the enhancement bonus, which is acute senses, is going to give us 9%. If we add all those into our combat advantage percentage, current percentage on CA, it will, sorry, the three things that we would add are the helm 10%, and the boots 5%, and the enhancement bonus acute senses is another 9%, which totals to a which will total to 24%. So 24% we add to our base out of combat stat, 82.3, and we will get 106.3%. After that, we take into consideration the extra bonuses that people give when they are in a full group. One of them is, again, if you're running master dungeons or master 5-man dungeons, almost 100% of the time, especially if you're running with a fixed group or you're running with your friends, one of them, or maybe it's you, that's going to be summoning a tutor. So tutor is 5%, and one of them as well is going to be summoning a flapjack. That is another 5%. And the last thing that would probably the last companion that people would normally summon in 5-man dungeons that would affect their combat advantage is a portobello, which, as we saw earlier, which is gonna give you another 3.5%. So tutor, portobello, and flapjack, it's gonna be a total of 13.5%. And as we said earlier, our base combat advantage plus the personal bonuses that we are giving ourselves is 106.3. So 106.3%, we add 13.5% more, we're gonna be falling at 119.8%. And that is not even including the bonus you will get from pack tactics, which is sometimes, well, most of the time, I think tanks use it nowadays. So that's it's at 22.2%. You're actually gonna have 122% on combat advantage, which is more than enough, more than what you need. So that takes care of the combat advantage, right? Let's talk about crit strike and crit sell. So for crit strike, we currently have 72.5%. We add, the only thing in our current setup that will affect crit strike is gonna be the perfect weapons, which will add 5% crit strike on the duration of the combat. It will reach full stacks at around 25 seconds. So from 72.5, fully buffed out of combat crit strike, we add 5% more. And another thing that will affect crit strike is our celestial lightning enchantment. This will give you a total of 10.8 on critical strike. So add another 10.8, you're going to be totaling at 88.3% on critical strike in combat, which is very, very good in my opinion. And last but not the least, we have critical severity. At the moment, it's sitting at 88.8%, and from sorry from our gear setup, there are three things or three gear pieces that will affect critical severity. One is the perfect weapons again. The second one is the chest piece that you can get from master demonweb pits, and the other one is the pants that you can get from either advanced dread sanctum or master dread sanctum. I would just recommend farm the advanced for it because the bonus is going to be the same anyway, just for if you're trying to get it quick. And I wouldn't if you're trying to get this fast and you're having a hard time fighting groups, it's more than likely the advanced dungeons will have you would have an easier time doing the advanced dungeon that you would in master. Depends on the group that you're running with. But for like farming purposes, I mean, you just want the bonus anyway, so I would recommend getting the farming the advanced version for the critical severity pants. So for the crits, for critical severity, we would be getting 5% from the perfect weapons. We would be getting 9% from the pants, and we would be getting 18% from the chest piece. So from our base critical severity of 88.8%, we add 5% for the weapons, and we add 9% for the pants, and then we add 18% for the chest piece. If you add all that in combat, you will be reaching 120%.8. So you are reaching cap on all your main damage stats, which is power, combat advantage, crit sev, and critical strike is on a fairly high level. If you happen to run with a paladin that runs the crit strike aura, you will be overcast, but that's okay. And accuracy, it's a dump stat, as we all know, because it's only gonna benefit you 50% of the time anyway, or half the time. And at its current state, it's already at a pretty good level, which is 50%, but it will still be affected by our shroomwood set and the celestial lightning enhancement. So from 51.8%, we add how much is shroomwood? 2.5 multiplied by 3, that is 7.5% on accuracy. So from 51.8, we add 7.5 for the shroomwood set, and we add another 10.8% for the celestial lightning. You're going to be reaching 70.1%. So that takes care of all your offensive stats at this item level. By the way, the main reason that I'm reaching these stats is this is to show you that where you should be focusing on when upgrading your stuff if you want to reach those cap stats. As you can see, I am just using green insignias here and epic colors. Enchantments are also green, except for the celestial lightning, because as we said, we are focusing on percentage stats and nothing else and because it's gonna affect your damage the most. And we also want, of course, double precision. It's a staple now for DPS characters, especially for rogues. That rogues don't really have free stats, unlike other classes. I mean, other classes have like 10% free on critical severity if you use a certain feat. Some of them have 10% critical strike just for being a certain class. And rogues don't really have that luxury. So it's a bit more difficult to manage stats. Anyway, if you're going to be focusing on stats, I would highly suggest focusing on the bolsters, which is the mount bolsters, your collection of celestial mounts, and your collection of celestial companions, as well as the celestial lightning flash. This will benefit you the most. This gives you a total of like 21% useful DPS stat at celestial level. So try to get this one first if you're gonna be upgrading your things. The other enhancement, the garnets, the jades, the amethysts, citrines, these are useful to a certain extent because they are ratings, and the more ratings you have later on in the game, the more options you're gonna have in using gear that would benefit you on much better when it comes to your damage. But for now, I want to show you that it is possible to cap all your stats without having everything at mythic, without having everything at legendary or celestial or whatever, as long as you focus on things that are gonna benefit your toons the most. And even though that we don't have everything at max, we are still keeping the standard 3 damage companions and raptor and 1 filler stat companion. In this case, I am using the cold light walker, which I believe I won from a PvP event in my alliance. Shout out to vocath for organizing it. Anyway, I hope this helps out, and if there are any questions with regards to how to prepare your toons and with regards to stats, you can always message me in our Discord or PSN message, and I'm online most of the time as well. So hope this helps out, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.